Aloha and good afternoon. Thanks for tuning into this extended stream of This Is Now. I'm Dylan Encheta in the HNN Digital Center. We are awaiting Hawaii County Mayor Mitch Roth to step up to the podium as he's preparing to deliver his State of the County address this afternoon. Now, his office says that he will be touching on a number of topics, including homelessness, the eruption of Mauna Loa, economic development, building permits, and of course, so much more. This is a live signal right here. As you can see, his speech is just getting underway as a blessing and a pule is happening now, opening remarks. Let's go ahead and listen in live. Give us one moment, folks, as we work out the technical difficulties here with the audio. Please stay tuned as we figure out what's going on here. All right, guys, we are trying to get this up and running for you. I'm being told that the audio issues is on the end of the broadcast team there on Hawaii Island. They are working to get that up and running for you. I'm going to keep a close ear on this, and once we get it running, I'm going to go ahead and bring you back out there live. But in the meantime, as they try and reboot the system, let's go ahead and give you a look at some of your other top stories of the day.
Aloha from Mililani High School. We're here at the southern part of the campus. This is near some of the athletic fields. Again, important to note that the school is on spring break. I was able to talk to representatives that were holding the gate closed out here on campus property. They say there really wasn't any impact to students or classes. That's the good news. Here's what we know about this. The call came into HFD, a vehicle fire, at around 6:50 this morning, just before 7. They arrived. They were able to get that fire out, and then eventually, though, discovered an unresponsive female inside the back of that vehicle. It had been burned. Witnesses say they had seen earlier a man opening and closing those doors. This is what Lieutenant Dina Thames said about how HPD was able to track him down.
Witnesses continued to follow that male until the other officers arrived. Officers were able to locate the male and detained him until he was positively identified by the witnesses. Witnesses also reported that when he was walking away from the vehicle, he was carrying some type of bladed weapon. Officers then arrested the male suspect who they had detained for murder in the second degree. The suspect is 25 years old male.
We don't know the identity of that male suspect. We also don't know the identity or even the age of the female victim. Again, still a lot to piece together here, but Dina said it was good news that they believe they have the person that they were looking for. We'll continue to keep you updated here as we learn more details at Mililani High School. Reporting in Mililani, I'm Casey Lunn. For now, we'll send things back to you.
A former Mililani High School athletic director accused of stealing more than $400,000 from the school's booster club pleaded not guilty to theft charges in court today. Glenn Nita was indicted last week on 8 counts of theft and false reporting. Nita retired from the position back in 2021. He turned himself into the sheriff's division last week and was released after posting $500,000 bail.
On Hawaii Island, an attempted murder suspect was captured after a days-long manhunt. He's set to appear in court this afternoon. Police started searching for 44-year-old Ronald Kahihikolo last Tuesday when he allegedly shot and injured a woman in Ocean View after an apparent domestic dispute. On Friday, he fled from police in Kona after they opened fire, killing another suspect. Kahihikolo then led officers to the other side of the island, where they eventually caught up with him just before 11 a.m. Saturday morning in Kalopa, roughly 30 miles north of Hilo. Hawaii Island police say Kahihikolo was found largely in thanks to a vigilant resident who called in a tip.
We got assistance from the FBI, from the U.S. Marshals, from Honolulu, DLNR, Hawaii Fire Department brought out their chopper actually to help us search. We did an extensive ground search, air search for probably 8 to 10 hours last night. We were unable to locate the suspect. A little before 11 o'clock this morning, we got information that somebody had called police dispatch and reported possibly seeing the wanted individual in the same area where we were last night. So we started to head out there, and then while we were on our way, we were just leaving the station, we got word that Hamakua patrol officers actually located him and arrested him.
He faces a long list of charges, including attempted murder and abuse of a family member. His bail is set at $263,000.
Now, the manhunt for Kahihikolo was not only lengthy, but deadly. We spoke to the mother of one of the men killed by police in Kona, where the incident started. Loved ones identified the suspect shot and killed as Kainoa Kahele Bishop. He was fatally shot by police during a traffic stop following a pursuit. Police say he was driving a stolen car and repeatedly ignored their commands. We're told 2 officers opened fire on Bishop when they saw him reaching for something, and his connection to Kahihikolo remains unknown. Bishop's mother says she's had very little communication with the Hawaii Island Police Department so far.
My question is, my son wasn't the attempted murder suspect, but my son was shot dead. I just don't know how that adds up.
Also arrested is Jacqueline Keana Aina, who was a passenger in one of the stolen cars. Her bail is set at $323,000, and she also appeared in court today.
Now to a travel advisory for passengers flying out of Hilo. Hours-long delays were reported this morning after TSA officials said there was an equipment failure impacting their ability to screen carry-on bags. They have a technician on site and are hoping to get things running smoothly at some point today. They're urging travelers to arrive as early as 3 hours prior to the flight departure time. Also, consider checking your bags.
2 people were taken to the hospital after a driver plowed through the plate glass window at the running room on Kapahulu Avenue. The car ended up all the way inside the store, sending shoe racks flying towards employees and customers who were shopping. It happened just before 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon. A food vendor who was set up on the sidewalk outside described the moments leading up to the crash.
He was coming so fast, he didn't hit the brakes at all. You know, I literally just jumped backwards over my chair. He actually hit the table and went right through the glass over there.
I'm still kind of shaking. My mind's not really being real smooth with me right now, but it's a lot of shock that I'm feeling.
EMS says a man in his 60s and a woman in her 40s were taken to the hospital in serious condition. The cause of the crash is under investigation, and the initial damage estimate is about $15,000.
A man is in critical condition after being struck by a car in Wahiawa. Police say he was hit near the intersection of California Avenue and Mango Street at around 8 o'clock last night. We're told the man was not in a marked crosswalk. The driver did stay on scene.
Honolulu police officers are one step closer to getting a work schedule change. The police union has agreed to endorse weekly shifts made up of 3 12-hour days. HPD tested the schedule in 2 districts last year as part of a pilot program. The change would still require approval from the department and the city, but the union endorsement is a key step. On the heels of a bank collapse and another bank shutdown, President Biden is trying to reassure Americans and the markets that the country's banking system is safe. Karen Kaifa reports from Washington.
President Joe Biden trying to instill confidence in the American banking system after Silicon Valley Bank collapsed and Signature Bank was shut down by regulators, both within days of each other.
Americans can have confidence that the banking system is safe.
Biden said customers of the failed banks would have access to their money Monday. The funds coming from the Federal Deposit Insurance Fund, which banks pay into, and not from taxpayers. Biden also said investors took a knowing risk in the failed banks and would not be protected, and the bank's leaders fired. Silicon Valley Bank was little known to most Americans outside of the startup world before depositors hastily withdrew $42 billion last Thursday in a classic bank run amid anxiety about SVB's financial health. The Biden administration's plan was relief to customers like Stefan Kalb.
It's odd to think about it now, but just even a week ago, Silicon Valley Bank was the gold standard we are expecting Silicon Valley Bank to be around.
On Sunday, New York state regulators seized Signature Bank, a big lender to the cryptocurrency industry. Fears of other regional banks on the brink are raising eyebrows about how they're regulated, with less stringent rules than those put in place for the major financial institutions after the 2008 financial crisis.
The problem is, because of those regulations, a lot of the business they were doing has migrated to the less regulated parts of the financial sector, which are now pretty big.
Meanwhile, the Securities and Exchange Commission said Monday it's on high alert for any misconduct amid the recent banking turmoil. In Washington, I'm Karen K5.
A near record low unemployment rate, a strong job market, and strong consumer spending. Right off the top, these things sound great, but experts say at some point they could have an adverse impact on the economy. Gloria Pazmino explains.
As the U.S. unemployment level has hovered around record lows, ticking up to 3.6% for February, it's been causing inflation to skyrocket.
The tighter the job market, the stronger the pressure on employers to boost wages and lift their own production costs.
And causing the U.S. Federal Reserve to raise interest rates to try and tamp it down. Gary Burtless, a senior fellow in economic studies at the Brookings Institution, says over the past few months, there has only been around one unemployed worker for every 2 jobs available, intensifying inflation more rapidly than we are used to.
That is why the good news about unemployment and new increases in the number of people who are employed will result in pressure on the Fed to slow down the economy and reduce price pressures, wage pressures that tend to be contributing to inflation in the economy.
So when will the Fed be happy and take their foot off the brake? Burtless says the sweet spot is around 5% unemployment and 2% inflation. In New York, I'm Gloria Pazmino.
The famous original Pancake House on Kapiolani Boulevard shut down abruptly. We're told the restaurant officially closed on February 20th due to a shortage of cooks, but the owner says it was just one of the problems she faced at that location.
I feel so sad. And then, I never had time to apologize to the customer to let them know. I just suddenly closed that,
The owner tells us she was also dealing with sewer problems and fire safety issues within the restaurant. She tells us she's thinking about reopening at a different location.
Hawaii County Mayor Mitch Roth delivers his State of the County address this afternoon. His office says he'll touch on some key issues, including homelessness, economic development, building permitting, and the Mauna Loa eruption. His comments will stream live on the mayor's Facebook page and Hawaii News Now digital platforms at 1 p.m. Also happening tomorrow, Kauai Mayor Derek Kawakami will hold his State of the County address at the Lihue Civic Center. His speech starts at 9 a.m. and will be live streamed on the Kauai County Facebook page as well as the county's website. Mayor Rick Blangiardi will also deliver his State of the City address. He'll speak from the Mission Memorial Auditorium at 11 a.m., and we will be streaming that live on KGMB, K5, and the digital platforms.
Honolulu's leaders may soon see a bump in their pay. Honolulu Civil Beat reports a city commission is considering raises for over 50 officials. One proposal would bump Mayor Rick Blangiardi's salary from about $186,000 to over $218,000. City council members would see an even bigger difference, with Chair Tommy Waters potentially going from under $77,000 a year to more than double that, nearly $195,000. Proposals with more modest raises are also on the table. A public hearing on the matter has been set for March 21st. Family and friends gathered at St. Louis School yesterday to celebrate the life of legendary sportscaster Jim Leahy. Kyle Chinen takes us there.
An icon. That's how those closest to him described Jim Leahy today during his celebration of life, where friends, families, and fellow sportscasters bid him one final aloha.
The guy was a legend.
He pretty much taught me everything that I know.
It was an afternoon filled with tears and laughter as hundreds filled St. Louis's Ching Center to pay their respects to Jim and his entire ohana.
It's just been really overwhelmingly beautiful, the response from people, the outreach, people that have shared stories, that have shared aloha, that have talked about how my dad just, in his little way gave them just a small piece of joy.
This day, the true embodiment of what made Jim happy, bringing people together.
He loved this place. He loved the people of Hawaii. This was home.
And the people of Hawaii loved him.
He was always so welcoming, so congenial, so educated about the sport. Yeah.
Fans remembering the bonds he created on and off of the playing surface.
And when I went to the volleyball games, I had to buy him his coffee. And when I was late, he would always say, look at his watch and say, "You're late. Where's my coffee?"
Many of Jim's family and former broadcast partners took the stage to share fond memories of the man they called Pops.
You know, I could be up there for hours talking about what we've done over the past 50 years, but what comes to mind first is just what a pro the guy was.
I think of Jim all the time when I call games with Kanoa, because Kanoa brings in so many Jim-isms into the broadcast, and it makes me very nostalgic.
Jim Leahy leaves behind a legacy that will never be forgotten.
Love you, Dad. I miss you. But I do know you're with us in spirit. And as you would say,
Kyle Chinen, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you so much for that report, Kyle. Once again, we do apologize. We are working through some technical difficulties in bringing you Hawaii Island Mayor Mitch Roth's State of the County address. We are in touch with our broadcast partners out there over on Hawaii Island. I'm being told there are some audio issues that they are working out on their end. So we are troubleshooting as well, and we are waiting further instructions on when this speech is gonna get underway. Again, we are told that Mayor Mitch Roth will be touching on a number of topics, including the Mauna Loa eruption, homelessness, economic development, and building permits. It was set to begin at 1 p.m., but again, we are awaiting a little bit more information on when the speech will actually be taking place now. So I'm going to give you guys a live look outside. This is out over Honolulu. We showed this shot earlier in our noon show. This is now. This is overlooking Punch Bowl. Check out how green that mountain is. It's a result of all of the wet weather we have been having lately. For more on your island weather, let's send it over now to Guy Hoggy.
We got light winds, right? Because of that passing front up to the north, that atmospheric river. We're not going to see much rain, and we're not going to see much in the way of strong winds anytime soon. And the trend will be for the winds to come out of south and southwest for the rest of the week, it looks like. And because of those light winds, there might be a little bit of particulate, some bit of fog in the air for the next several days. Now, the next chance for rain is mainly for Kauai and Oahu starting tomorrow. A weak front's going to drop in, likely lingering over Kauai through Wednesday, but the rest of the state likely to see much drier conditions, although because of the light winds, there's always the chance for afternoon spotty downpours on the Kona side of Hawaii Island. Otherwise, get ready for a long stretch of really, really nice weather. Granted, it could be a little bit warmer for some leeward spots, but otherwise, make plans for lots of sunshine over the next several days.
The Honolulu Festival came to a dazzling finish last night with the Nagaoka fireworks show lighting up the skies over Waikiki. It was the grand finale to the three-day event, which hasn't happened since the onset of the pandemic. Thousands also lined the street for the massive 4-hour-long parade that featured cultural programs from around the Pacific. The festival also included a bon dance, food and craft fairs, along with exhibits and performances showcasing Pan-Pacific cultures. Looks like the audio has been worked out. As you can see, Hawaii Island Mayor Mitch Roth just took the podium. Let's go ahead and see if we can bring this to you live right now.
State of our
I can
county,
hear the audio, and hopefully you can too. There you go. Let's listen in.
Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge some special guests that we have here, of course, starting with our governor, Josh Green, who's been a great partner to our island, Mayor Derek Kawakami from Maui, and Managing Director Mike Tehelig from Kauai, forget where I'm at, from Kauai. By the way, whenever we have something happen, Mayor Kawakami is always the first one to call and ask if we need any help. Really appreciate you, Mayor. Chief of Staff from Maui, Leo Cyrus. Sorry, Cyrus. Of course, our council members, and of course our department heads, who I feel like is going to be singing behind me here, the mayor's office staff, and just a few of the other individuals who work tirelessly day in and day out to make this island the best place to live, work, and raise a family. They're the real reason we can carry out our vision and serve the communities from Hilo to Kailua, from South Point to Pololu, and everywhere in between. Since day one, our priority has been and continues to be sustainability. Sustainability to me means the ability to allow our keiki to raise their keiki here on this island. The goal is not only for them to be able to live here, but to thrive here, having every opportunity necessary to live a long, healthy, and happy lives. This afternoon, I hope to share our approach on how we've been working to doing just that. For the sake of understanding and clarity, I'm going to break down our work into 3 buckets. Reformation, they got to spell this out, resilience, and adaptation. These 3 words will act as a guiding principle for how we look at our work and manage the many tasks associated with running, operating, and ultimately improving our county to best serve you, your families, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. With that, let's start with the first word, reformation. Reformation in this sense is our administration's actions and processes of reforming the institution we inherited to make it better, more efficient, and more reliable. Put simply, reformation is our attempt to own the past and rectify it where needed. When we entered the office just over 2 years ago, it was clear that we would need to look at the cards we were dealt and figure out how best to play them. In some cases, we had better hands than others, but it was clear, regardless of the cards we had in our hand, when we had to own them and own the fact that they were ours. We had to play them accordingly, regardless if they were desirable or not. This meant that lingering construction projects, long overdue maintenance, permit backlog, failing systems, and other issues being felt daily by the public had gone from someone else's problem to our problem. Some of these problems included the Kalanianiole reconstruction project, maintenance and upkeep of the Hilo wastewater treatment plant, the recovery efforts relating to the 2018 Kilauea eruption, a lingering coronavirus pandemic, the Kapue Stream Bridge sewer line replacement project, conversion to the EPIC permitting system, and animal control. These were the cards that we were dealt. Although some of the projects affected just portions of the island, some affected all of us, and we needed to be sure that we prioritized, planned, and executed accordingly. One of the projects that would affect all of us was the Hilo wastewater treatment plant, which had been long neglected and remains on the verge of an environmental catastrophe, not just for Hilo, not just for the island, but potentially for the state. Upon identifying this issue, our office, the Department of Environmental Management, led by Ramsey Mansour, and the Finance Department, led by our Director, Yana Sacco, worked tirelessly over the past year to secure the required funding to replace vulnerable systems nearing the end of their useful life. Today, following months of difficult technical engineering work, we are proud to say that Phase 1 of the rehabilitation project is out to bid, with a notice to proceed for construction anticipated by the end of June 2023. This will be one of the most expensive and extensive infrastructure projects we will invest in throughout our administration. Another project that was years in the making was the Kalanianiole reconstruction project that left Keaukaha residents, beachgoers, visitors, and much of East Hawaii in limbo for nearly 5 years. Within the first year of our term, we identified the issues, renegotiated the project, put it out to bid again, and promised to complete it by the end of 2022. Thanks to our Department of Public Works team and the contractors Non-Inc., the project was completed on December 15, 2022. In 2018, over 700 families lost their homes as a result of the Kilauea eruption that covered parts of Lower Puna with up to 80 feet of lava. Between 2018 and 2020, over 1,000 residents were left awaiting vital recovery services from the county. After conducting a comprehensive survey, a voluntary buyout program was identified as the path forward, giving those who lost their homes a leg up in the remaining part of our community here on Hawaii Island. The funds for this endeavor were secured under Mayor Kim's administration, but were followed through by ours. As of today, through the leadership of Douglas Lay, our disaster recovery officer, and his team, we have made significant progress on phase 1 of our voluntary buyout program, spending over $37 million of federal grant monies to support 193 households who had lost their primary homes. In addition to the buyout program, our administration committed ourselves to working with FEMA to complete the environmental assessment for roadway repairs, water line installation in Lower Puna concerning the 2018 Kilauea eruption. The EA is currently in its final review and is headed into a 30-day community comment period. Once reviewed, DPW, FEMA, HIEMA will schedule a community meeting to discuss the results of the EA within 2 weeks of the release date. Following the public comment period, an RFP will go out, and work will soon begin to restore access and water to many beloved sites and memories for our residents in Lower Puna. In 2017, the county negotiated administrative order on consent with the Environmental Protection Agency to close large capacity cesspools in Pahala and Na'alegu, a problem that we've known about for 25 years. The order committed the county to a lagoon-type system. After doing geotechnical survey, we realized that there were significant design flaws that would not be physically possible for the county to complete within the timeline provided, and daily penalties would have accrued. The estimated construction cost for the selected wastewater treatment solution was more than $120 million for less than 400 households. Thanks to the collaborative efforts on behalf of our team, the Department of Health, and the EPA to tackle these significant flaws, we renegotiated a revision to the federal order in 2022. This renegotiation will save our county and, more importantly, our taxpayers over $50 million. We are on track to close the gang cesspools before 2028, which will help greatly in protecting our groundwater and the pristine Ka'u coast. Our approach of being willing to work together to solve these large-scale, overreaching issues has been a theme throughout our first 2 years, and we're proud of the innovation that has come with that. A shining example of that innovation would be the Kapui Stream Bridge sewer line repair. In 2021, a corroded gravity main tied to the side of a 200-foot-high bridge feeding the Papaiko wastewater treatment plant had become blocked. That caused 67,000 gallons of untreated sewage to flow into the stream bed. Initially, the cost to fix the sewer line was estimated at over $2.5 million, and a temporary bypass that was blocking the sidewalk could have been in place for more than 2 years due to shipping and scaffolding construction backlogs at the time. Just think, more than 2 years to fix a problem that could have caused thousands of more gallons of untreated sewage to flow into our streams. However, through the innovative thinking, collaboration between departments, using on-island supplies, and creative engineering, the problem was fixed in 3 months, saving the county more than $1.2 million. This project shined a national spotlight on our county as a leader in engineering innovation. Another card dealt to us when we entered office was a failing bus and transportation system. In 2020, the Helion services were minimal, with unreliable buses and routes that did not meet the island's needs, resulting in declining ridership and failing to meet the standard of the county's transit and multimodal transportation master plan. Today, with the help and expertise of Administrator Hondo, routes are timely, buses have been upgraded with more on the way, and services have expanded to include many transportation options such as more fixed routes, rural door-to-door services, a partnership with the Kona Trolley, taxis, flex routes, carpooling, van pool, micro-transit, rideshare, safe places, bike share, and more. And the cost to our Helion users is now free. In addition, we've worked to implement many of the recommendations of the county's transit and multimodal transportation master plan. Another card that we were dealt with was the decades of deferred maintenance at park facilities that have caused facilities island-wise to close for repairs, including Papaloa Gym along the Hamakua coast, which was demolished due to irreparable damage. Essentially, that building was being held up by termites holding hands and singing Kumbaya. Working with Parks Director and the community and elected officials, we helped to raise $10 million to design and build a new facility, one that will work with the community to ensure a facility that meets their needs and their desires. And Governor, on March 1st, that letter that you signed for $5 million, that's the gym that we're talking about, so thank you very much. We also want to give a big shout out to our legislators for assisting us with this feat. But this is a shining example of how public-private partnerships can be a tremendous success. Transitioning to EPIC system and dealing with a permitting backlog was likely one of the most challenging and painful issues for us to inherit. Within the first year, we successfully transitioned our teams to the all-online permitting system known as EPIC, a decision that was made before our time but accomplished under our administration. This process included migrating planning and permitting digital information from Excel documents and other plan and permitting systems into the new systems. As of last Friday, we have issued more than 8,724 building permits. We also inherited a failing animal control issue that was bordering upon animal cruelty. With the help of our county council, thank you, County Council, led by Chair Kimball, our finance department, and our outstanding work of HPD Major Amy Wana, who will soon create a division within the county rather than outsourcing the services. 45 positions are currently budgeted to take this endeavor to the entire island. We also purchased the Barking Dogs Kennel out in Puna to have a place to adequately keep animals going through a transition period. This will help to ensure that our animals are treated with decency while ensuring resident safety. And as a quick note, yesterday I was coming over the Saddle Road with a friend, and we saw a dog that was on the side of the road, obviously injured. We turned around, picked up the dog, put her in the car. She had all sorts of cuts on her side. But once we got in the car, we called our animal control. We actually called police dispatch. They sent some people, took care of the dog, and I learned that her owner was concerned and looking after her. She jumped out of the back of his truck, and he was posting to get assistance to find her. Great news is, my understanding is, because of our animal control officers, this dog is now back at home safe with her owners and getting the help that she needs. Lastly, civil defense, led by Talmadge Magno and the county as a whole, wrapped up 2 years of coronavirus operations, including coordinating the county operations in response to coronavirus community and workplace testing and vaccination, airport testing, managing quarantine sites with wraparound services, PPE warehousing and distribution, call taker operations, travel restrictions and travel waivers, public messaging and outreach to citizens and businesses, gathering and event authorizations, test distribution, and frequent meetings with state, federal, and non-government partners. Part of the wrap-up was getting our KTN community back out to the fields, gyms, and large-scale community events. Some of those events brought back in 2022 included the 4th of July Hilo Bay Blast and Car Show, the Queen Liliuokalani Festival, Magic of the Seasons, Iron Man, and the Waimea Cherry Blossom Heritage Festival. We also worked with Auntie Luana and the Marimana Festival organizers to ensure that we did not cancel another festival. The festival was incredible last year. the parade as well as the craft fair was a great success and a reminder of what's possible through innovation and teamwork with everyone. And by the way, next month we will celebrate the 60th annual Merry Monarch Festival with no capacity or COVID-related restrictions because of everyone's hard work and commitment to safety over the past couple of years. Moving forward, accountability, ownership, and rectification of the processes, systems, and issues we inherit will continue to be a priority for us as we prepare our present for the long-term future of our county. Next, let's talk about resilience. Resilience refers to our administration's efforts and actions to build the capacity to withstand and recover quickly from today's difficulties, while creating a level of toughness that will allow us to flourish into the future. In other words, it's the short-term actions we take today that will build the foundation that allows the county to thrive into the future we envision. Some examples of the actions taken include the revival of critical affordable housing projects, increasing the capacity to care for and treat houseless individuals, amplifying emergency response capabilities, breaking ground on shovel-ready projects, mitigating staffing shortages, dealing with disasters in real time, upgrading water systems, and investing in facility management. Each of these initiatives takes cross-sector collaboration, buy-in, and a selfless willingness on behalf of all involved to get them done properly and efficiently. Affordable housing is one of the most critical components creating sustainable resilience where our keiki will be able to raise their keiki here. Since taking office, we've worked diligently with Susan Coons and the Office of Housing and Community Development to bolster our pipeline on affordable housing projects. Unfortunately, when we took office, there was just over 1,000 affordable housing units in our pipeline. Today, thanks to Susan and her team, our affordable housing pipeline is at 5,767 units and growing. When units are in the pipeline, they're far than more just conceptual. The words shovel-ready start to come up. Our OHDC, or Office of Housing Community Development, has gone through a lot of work providing funding, assistance with the HRS 201H process, and other support so developers can come in and get building. Currently, we have broken ground and begun construction on 6 projects and have completed 3 to date. The projects that we've completed included the county-owned 20-unit Papaloa Elderly Housing Affordable Housing Project in Hamakua, which was completed in September 2022, is fully leased, as well as the 60-unit Ka'ulu o Waikoloa Affordable Housing Project in North Hawaii, which was completed at the end of 22 and is currently in the process of being leased. Earlier this year, we broke ground on the Hale Nakoa o Hanakahi project in Kavili Street in Hilo, with a preference for veterans and surviving spouses. This project is a 92-unit senior affordable housing project developed by EAH Housing in partnership with the Hawaii Island Veterans Memorial Group. We provided financial assistance through its home and house trust funds totaling $5.54 million and 50 project-based vouchers to add to the project's viability. This project was 16 years in the making, and we're proud to have contributed to getting it over the finish line. By the end of 2023, we plan to break ground on an additional 8 projects that will add an additional 778 affordable housing units to the market soon after. Aside from affordable housing, our administration acknowledges the need to care for our houseless population in ways that go beyond shelter. Through the leadership and persistence of our Office of Housing and Community Development, support of Governor Green, we broke ground on Kukuiola Homeless Shelter in Kealakekee on January 26, 2023. Another project that was incepted before our time, but revived and pressed through under our administration. The grading and construction Construction of the access road is being funded by both state and county funds, and $10 million of federal funding was secured for the construction of the homeless shelter, thanks to the efforts of Senator Brian Schatz and Senators Mazie Hirono. When complete, the shelter will provide social services and programs to help transition emergency sheltered individuals to permanent supportive housing and/or affordable housing programs to meet the state and county homeless housing goals. We realize it's not just about housing or just houseless individuals that need care. That is why, together with the help of our county council, we've dedicated $7.5 million this year alone to help with detoxification, mental illness, medical outreach, and permanent supportive housing, to name a few. Over the last year, we worked with our fire department under Chief Todd's direction to obtain the required funding and justification to replace Chopper 2, a rescue helicopter that has been in service for over 30 years and is in desperate need of replacement. That chopper is kept out in South Kohala at the fire station out there, the very place where I had my heart attack. Didn't take the chopper, did take an ambulance. This new helicopter will cost $5 million and is anticipated to be on the ground in the first or second quarter of the fiscal year 2023-2024. This would not have been possible if not for the generosity of the Sayer Foundation and the private online donors, on Island donors, who contributed to one of our fire department's most outstanding needs. We also successfully secured $200,000 from the state to replace and produce much needed life safety equipment for the Water Safety Division, as well as an additional $1.2 million to support our ambulance fleet replacement program. With these additional funds, we were able to purchase 5 new ambulances this fiscal year. In addition to beefing up our emergency medical service capacity, the prosecutor's office, led by Keldon Walton, has continued the long-standing practice of the prosecutor's office of providing training to hundreds of staff, police, multidisciplinary professionals in a diverse array of criminal justice focus areas, including sex assault, witness intimidation, forensic evidence, digital evidence, case management, and traffic safety. We've also partnered with all necessary agencies and community groups to address ongoing issues on Hawaii Island, including drug trafficking and misuse, crimes committed by individuals suffering from mental health, and intimate partner violence. HPD also ramped up its efforts to manage speed-related fatalities and accidents by increasing targeted speeding traps with daily on-shift enforcement in specific areas, speedboard deployment, as well as sign waving by our community policing section and members of our community in efforts to increase public awareness regarding safe driving and other community issues. The community's safety is paramount to a thriving, resilient Hawaii Island, and we will continue to invest in programs and equipment that allow our frontline responders the necessary tools to protect our residents' health and safety. Earlier this year, our administration had the privileges of welcoming a new chief to the department, Chief Ben Moskowitz, who will carry on the tradition of Hawaii County's officers in being part of the community rather than being apart from the community. Another key to our health and safety is the access to fresh, potable water. Last year alone, the Department of Water Supply, led by Chief Engineer Keith Okamoto, in conjunction with our administration, completed 3 critical projects, Pahoa, Papaiko, and Halaula. The completed waterline projects in Maku'u and Pahoa area improved the resiliency and redundancy for our customers in the Pahoa and Ola'a Mountain View public water systems. In that process, DHHL and Department of Water Supply worked together to complete the necessary infrastructure to provide water services to 28 additional Hawaiian homes lots in the Maku'u area. The completed Papaiko water replacement project replaced approximately 3 miles of aged water line, multiple fire hydrants, and numerous water service laterals. Completion of the Papaiko project improves overall water infrastructure for our customers in Papaiko public water system. Lastly, the completed Halaula well and reservoir project in Kohala helped to improve the resiliency and redundancy of water supply and storage for our customers in North Kohala public water system. All of these projects help to maintain, protect, and improve the efficiency of water distribution for our residents. Another necessary investment in increasing our county's resiliency was growing the Parks and Recreation's maintenance and repair budget for over 300 facilities. And if you think about how much it would cost to repair and maintenance for 300 facilities, our budget was at $425,000 a year. We've been able to raise that to $2.1 million, setting up the county to make long overdue repairs on some of our most precious community resources. This could not have been done but for the teamwork and ingenuity of our Parks Department and our finance. So thank you, Mo and Deanna, for working together to get this done. We also focused on our county's, how our county deals with regenerative tourism. In partnership with the Edith Kanaka-Oli Foundation, our administration has worked with lineal descendants, cultural practitioners, visitor service providers, and community residents to demonstrate the efficacy of place-based process built on ancestral knowledge that details Pono behavior, practices, and stewardship to determine how Vahipana are visited, what cultural assets are shared, and how we can create living wage jobs through the implementation of these practices. An example of our committed effort is through our partnership with Auntie Cindy Punahaoli with the Kohala Center, which has instituted a site-specific conservation and education efforts at Kahalu Beach Park, an effort that through the vision and grit of Auntie Cindy has garnered national attention and a gleaming testimony of a public-private partnership that protects our Vahipana while allowing others to enjoy these special areas respectfully. And by the way, this afternoon, as another example, we'll be sharing what Auntie Cindy's doing with our sister cities as we're doing a sustainable tourism webinar this afternoon with them. We're committed to protecting and preserving the people and places that make Hawaii so remarkable. True resilience is the resilience of the land and its people. We've also worked to administer the USDA Summer Meal Program, which provided collaborative support to Vibrant Hawaii and statewide partners to develop and implement the Cow for Keiki program that fed 4,000 eligible students a week for 6 weeks, providing each student with 10 pounds of locally sourced fruits and vegetables. Another example of resilience came at the end of last year when Mauna Loa began erupting. The flow began around 11:30 p.m. on November 27th, and by the following day began a clear path towards Sal Road, otherwise known as Daniel K. Inouye Highway, our island's connector between East and West Hawaii. The next night, spectators lined the roadway for a chance to catch a glimpse of Madame Pele. With high speeds, increased pedestrian crossing, poor visibilities, we knew that if we allowed the viewing to continue in that manner, it would only be a matter of time before someone was seriously injured or killed. To clear the roadway and mitigate adverse traffic hazards, the traffic hazard mitigation route was incepted. What was truly remarkable about the inception of the traffic hazard mitigation route was to stand it up within 24 hours of finding the place. We worked collaboratively with multiple state and federal agencies who quickly acted to support our efforts with manpower, land, access, equipment, and more. It's rare that so many agencies were able to work together in such a short amount of time, and we're incredibly proud to have been ready and willing partners in the pursuit of a resilient Hawaii. Some key individuals who helped make it happen include our governor, who answered the phone at 10:30 in the evening as Maurice Messina, our Parks Director, and I were driving through the route, taking a look if it was even possible. General Hara, also Lieutenant Colonel Kevin Cronin from PTA, Ed Smith and our Director of Transportation, and Steve Pazzi and their various teams who resurfaced, set up, staffed, and broke down the traffic hazard mitigation route after it was no longer needed. Lastly, we continue to strive to build resilience by streamlining our building permitting process. getting people back to work and roofs over our locals' families' heads. Over the past year, we brought in a consultant specializing in streamlining permitting process across the country to assess our current process and to make recommended strategies accordingly. His report was completed at the end of 2022, and many of the suggested changes have already begun to be implemented within the Department of Public Works. Additionally, our administration has identified unnecessary redundancies in the law and has worked diligently with Representative Iligan to introduce HB 920, a bill that will allow the counties, and more importantly the county councils, to bypass specific elements of the state building code as needed to address the needs of the individual counties versus a blanket policy. Basically, it will allow our county council to make amendments to the building code when they see things like snow loads that we don't need, or things like having a engineer sign off on wind speeds when we have hard times finding engineers to sign off on wind speeds. We're hoping that with the passage of HB 920 and the consultant's recommendations implemented within the department, we'll be able to establish a more resilient building permitting process that will allow us to address and eventually alleviate permitting backlogs in the future. Ultimately, these are just a few examples of the many steps we believe are fundamental building blocks for a resilient Hawaii Island for today and well into the future. We've talked a lot about what we've done to adjust and overcome over the past years. Mentioning these accomplishments, and in some cases setbacks, is critical for all of us to understand where we're coming from, where we're going, and why. Finally, we'll talk about adaptation, the final pillar in our guiding principles. Adaptation in this instance refers to our administration's actions and processes to adapt our services and functions to serve the county of the future and not just the past. In other words, it's how we plan to innovate for the future of our island, not tomorrow, not 5 years from now, but for generations beyond us. One of the most essential components of adapting our county to foster a sustainable future for our island home is to work diligently to protect our climate and with it our pristine natural resources here in Hawaii and around the globe. Last year, through the leadership of R&D Director Doug Adams, our county was awarded the Hydrogen Twin Cities Initiative grant through the U.S. Department of Energy's Hydrogen Twin Cities Initiative, providing funding to support a 5-year mentoring relationship between Namihe, Japan, Lancaster, California, and the County of Hawaii to replace oil and fossil fuels with hydrogen-based fuel cells to help reach carbon neutrality by 2035. With this grant, we'll be part of a team that will pilot hydrogen transformation for not only Hawaii, not only the country, but for the world. This Twin City relationship will be vital in forging partnerships to build out our infrastructure capabilities, setting the groundwork for a carbon-neutral Hawaii and a potential hydrogen-based economy. The conversion to clean energy doesn't only include the infrastructure, but also the modes of transportation by which we get around. That's why we've invested in and will continue to invest in our county's transportation systems from fossil to clean energy vehicles. By the end of the year, we expect 3 additional hydrogen buses to our fleet, and by 2024, we'll add an additional 18 electric buses to the Helion Ohana. As the need for public transportation increases, so must our capacity to operate our Helion system. That said, we are proud to announce that we have obtained over $25 million in grant funding to replace the entire Helion fleet, fund operations, and start planning a new base yard in Kailua Kona, as well as transit hubs in Kailua Kona and Pahoa. For us, transportation isn't only about travel, but it's about access, particularly for those with disabilities. And speaking about disabilities, over the past 2 years, our administration has invested over $30 million into park upgrades to make them ADA compliant, completing 6 projects in the last year alone. By the end of this year, we plan to finish all planned park upgrades for a total of 15 completed projects between 2022 and 2023. These investments and upgrades will ensure access to our parks for all of our users and visitors and for many, many years to come. Access is also about connectivity, which our administration, under the lead of IT Director Scott Uehara and R&D Director Doug Adams, has partnered to expand connectivity in underserved areas by establishing high-speed connectors to community anchor locations. We also continue to work with the state broadband hui and other private sector partners to bring digital equity to many of our residents, particularly in our rural communities across the island. This includes the recent $1.5 million Hawaii telecom investment to complete a fiber ring in East Hawaii, which will skyrocket network reliability for more than half of Hawaii Island, including districts in Puna, Ka'u, South Kona, and Kailua Kona. Connecting our island today, tomorrow, and into the future requires consistent network, requires a consistent roadwork and infrastructure maintenance, which our administration continues to commit to. Over the coming year, we will rehabilitate Waikoloa Road from Mauka to Makai, and portions of Kilauea and Keawe Streets in Hilo, improving our county's infrastructure while incorporating components of complete streets plans. Looking into the future, our Department of Water Supply has begun working to establish sound fiscal policies for long-term financial stability, which would continue to establish appropriate water rates for all customers and maintaining financial reserves. They've also begun planning to implement an asset management program, which would be a proactive, preventative, and predictive maintenance program to ensure reliable and fiscally sound operating water systems. Additionally, to ensure the protection of our watershed well into the future, the Department of Water Supply plans to develop and award funds to a watershed organization that would conduct activities to protect identified watershed, directly improving watershed recharge. Understanding that true adaptation cannot come without diversification of industry, our administration has begun working to bolster alternative revenue opportunities for our island, including applying our efforts in and around the film industry. Last year alone, we worked with Commissioner Freitas to provide promotional interdepartmental coordination and permitting support to facilitate the successful on-island production of two major television and film projects, Temptation Island and Chief of War, that generated over $32 million of on-island revenues, created 177 local jobs, and engaged 30 Hawaii Island vendors. Exploration of alternative industries for Hawaii Island will continue to be a theme as we continue to adapt to a changing economy. That said, like many businesses throughout our community, staffing continues to be an issue. With over 298 vacant positions throughout our county, our Department of Human Resources, led by Waylon Lipidino, has begun an aggressive recruitment campaign to bolster our county workforce, allowing us to continue to provide critical services to the community today and well into the future. Part of that included initiating a county rebranding campaign, Our Big Island, Our Community, focusing on the impact of our employees in our Big Island community. We've increased promotion through radio, television, print advertisement, and implemented an aggressive social media campaign on all major platforms. We've also increased our community outreach to include the Hawaii Resource Fairs to highlight our county departments and their functions to the community. We're also working with our colleges and high schools and other critical stakeholders to develop talent pipeline. The workforce of tomorrow must be built today. All of our adaptation efforts can only be made with a clear plan. And that's why we're proud to announce that after nearly 20 years, administration, through the direction of Planning Director Zendo Kern, has taken on the task of updating our general plan, a guide document for the growth of our island into the future. The draft, which will go before the public this year. We encourage continued community engagement through that process so that we can truly forge a sustainable future for Hawaii Island that is adapted to benefit the needs of all of our residents and not just a selected few. And by the way, they've already taken in thousands of comments into this plan. But again, we're going to be putting that out for more for more community input. In closing, I'd like to end with one of my favorite mantras. Every adversity comes with an equal or greater opportunity. Each day, we strive to make this island better than it was the day before. Some days we have our struggles. Some days we have our victories. Some days we have both, much like many of you. That said, we continue to put one foot in front of the other in a pursuit of a sustainable Hawaii Island where our keiki can thrive and succeed for generations to come. Excuse me. We do this by focusing on reforming county's policies and processes that impact the lives of our residents every day. This could be working to streamline our building permitting system, repairing aging infrastructure, or simply focusing on how we treat people internally and externally. We do it through building resilience capacity that takes the issues of today and lays the foundations for tomorrow. This could be through the resurrection of affordable housing projects, investment in homeless issues, or real-time response to natural disasters and emergencies. Lastly, we do it through the lens of innovation that aims to implement systems that will allow the county to flourish far beyond our administration. This could be through the investment in whole system changes like how we produce and view energy, how we partner to connect communities physically or virtually, or how we reimagine our economic climate to find alternative revenue streams beyond tourism. The road ahead to achieve these goals are already underway, and we're incredibly proud of the work we've done, the work we're doing, and the work we're going to do to get us to a place where our keiki are no longer our biggest export. Together, we are working to build a county of the future and not of the past, not just because we want to, but because it's the right thing to do. Mahalo for being here. God bless you, and God bless the County of Hawaii.
Mahalo, Mayor Roth, for sticking to script. That said, directors back here, mahalo for enduring 43 minutes of awesomeness and really recapping a lot of the work that you folks do. We really appreciate each and every one of you. At this time, you're more than welcome to proceed to the back. And as we transition up to Council Chair Kimball, who will provide some remarks at the end. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Give me a big round of applause for everybody. Okay. Council Chair Kimball, please come up and share some words with us.
Thank you, Cyrus. Aloha and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Mayor, for the invitation to come and say a few words after your State of the County address. I believe it really represents the clear intention that I think you and I both share for the council and the administration to work in partnership to really address these issues that are so that we can support our communities to the best of our ability. I was thinking as I was sitting here, I don't know if you saw that Big Island News Now just put out a poll about the hardest job in the county. And the mayor actually was at the bottom of the list. And what I thought about that was, he makes it look too easy. Because I'll let you know, one of those 14 votes that went for mayor, one of them was mine. Because I've been sitting here working with you for the past 2 years, and I do see how hard you and all of your team work to make us, move forward. And as you said, we started from a difficult place, a lot of stuff left undone, and you really didn't highlight we were in the middle of COVID and that we were in the middle of an economic downturn when you took office. And so the trajectory of this whole county has really been impressive from that state. Like you said, there was so much adversity, and from that there's so much opportunity, and I'm so grateful that you have been, and your team have been taking advantage of those opportunities. I wanted to say that, part of what excites me about where we are right now is the membership of the council. And I do want to just ask them to stand up and say hi real quick. Councilmember Jennifer Kagiwara, one of our new council members from District 1. She's Chair of the Health, Safety, and Wellbeing Committee, Councilmember Leloy, our senior member with the most experience, who is in charge of our Committee on Infrastructure and Assets, Councilmember Ashley Kirkowitz from District 4, who is in charge of Planning, Land Use, Economic Development. Our Finance Chair, County Lee Kleinfelder, couldn't join us today here, but we appreciate all of his work. Michelle Galimba, I don't think she's joined us either, who is in charge of climate resilience and regenerative agriculture. Rebecca Villegas, who is in charge of our Committee on Communications, Reports, and Government Oversight. Vice Chair Hulaka Anaba, my partner in crime, who is also in chair of the Legislative Approvals Committee, and of course Councilmember Cindy Evans, another new member of our council, who is in charge of government and economic development. What I'll say about this council is we have a bunch of intelligent folks, very hardworking folks, and I got to tell you, I'm having a little trouble keeping up with all the stuff that they're submitting to put on our agendas, because these folks are very productive, and I think that you will see, in concert and partnership with the administration, a lot of great projects coming through. And I just want to say mahalo to all the directors, deputy directors, folks from Corp Council who've been working with us on these various projects, making sure that by initiating a dialogue early, we're really coming up with the best legislative proposals to put before the county. Yes, thank you, department heads and deputy directors. We really do appreciate working with you. And that's really what I think I want to focus on today about, why I'm so grateful to serve on this council, why I think my colleagues are so grateful to serve on this council right now, is because there is so much opportunity because of that alignment. And it's not just alignment between us on the council and you folks in the administration, but we have that alignment from the governor and our state legislature, and we have that alignment from the federal government. I mean, we have an unprecedented amount of funds being dedicated from the Biden's packages towards infrastructure, towards climate change, towards the things that we agree are priorities for this county. So, it is our kuleana to not let this opportunity that's before us slip away. We have a lot of work to do. Where we need to be is over here. Where we are is right here. But the trajectory is in the right direction. And from my vantage point, with all of these synergies at all the multiple levels of government, between us on the council and you folks in the administration, the future of Hawaii County has never looked so bright. And the state of this county is one of opportunity and potential. So thank you all for your time today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the chance to speak. Thank you to all the folks in the departments for making our jobs so much easier. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Council Chair Kimball, for your remarks. Very touching. As we close this thing out, I just want to give a warm round of applause to all the folks that couldn't be here today, all of our county staff that work day in and day out to make every single thing possible, whether it be cleaning up parks, making sure that we have emergency medical services on the road, making sure that your toilets flush. All of that is a big deal, and we want to give them all a round of applause right now. We'd also like to just thank everyone at home watching this, all of our residents, for your continued commitment to each other, to this island, to this community that we all get to call home. You're the reason that we get to live in this special place, and the reason that it is so special. That said, I think to finish it off, to close out this ceremony, this State of the County, this get-together with great minds and individuals alike, we'll perform Hawaii Aloha. As I'm told by the group in the back. So Kamuela Chan will lead us in Hawaii Aloha. Those of you who know the words, please sing along. Those of you who don't, hold a hand, smile, raise them up at the end. You'll know the cues. Mahalo. Thank you, everybody.
Let's all join our voices together. E Hawaii e kua ne hanaue kuho Aloha.
Those of you here in the audience can now join us for some refreshments here in the back. Mahalo everyone for joining us. Have a wonderful and blessed day. Aloha.